Okay, the first step, we have the biga, which is pre-fermented dough. Takes 12 to 16 hours to prepare this dough. It's just mixing water with flour and a little bit of yeast. And you let it ferment for 12 to 16 hours or more. So I left this in the refrigerator overnight. And we're ready to mix this with our ingredients to start the process of making our ciabatta, our delicious ciabatta bread. A little bit of water, and I'm gonna try to dissolve this. You mix it with the water here. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, we're gonna mix all of the other ingredients, the flour, the water, the olive oil, the yeast, and salt. So we're using bread flour here. This is not just all-purpose flour. And the reason we're using bread flour is to give it a nicer consistency. Bread flour has more proteins, a little bit of olive oil, the yeast, and the salt. And we're gonna put the rest of the water. So we're going to mix it now for a few minutes. Okay, so we're ready to take the dough out of the mixer. And as you can see, it has a sticky consistency, which is what you would expect to see in a high hydration dough. So we're gonna take it out of here, and I'm gonna use a spatula to help me. It smells really good. You can smell the bread. Okay, so we have our dough in this container, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna wait half an hour to start giving it some folds so it can develop some texture and elasticity. And I'm gonna cover it with this little cloth so it doesn't dry. That's super important. Okay, so it's been like half an hour and we're ready to start folding the dough or kneading it. It helps develop elasticity with the dough. And that's what we're gonna do right now. So we're gonna grab it, it's pretty sticky, but we're gonna take it, fold it, rotate it 90 degrees, and fold it. This will help develop tension in the dough. Okay, and we're gonna let it rest for another half an hour. All right, so we're ready for the second set of folds. And I already see the dough changing its texture, so it's looking nice. So I'm gonna proceed and give it another fold. See, it's a lot more elastic and it has a lot more tension, so it's not breaking, as you can see. Okay, so we're just gonna let it rest again for it to keep developing its gluten and stretchability and elasticity. Okay, looks like the dough has doubled in size and it's looking really good. I'm gonna put a little bit of flour on top here to make sure it doesn't stick to anything when I pull it out. And I'm gonna put some flour here on the counter. All right, so this is looking great. I sprinkled a little bit of flour on top of the dough. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a little rectangle, shape it into a rectangle. And you have to be very delicate with the dough to make sure it doesn't deflate. Okay, so I think that's great. And we're gonna cut it in half. I think this is good right here. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shape these as a loaf, like that. That looks good. And I'm gonna move this one. Okay, we're ready to bake. Bread is looking beautiful. What I'm gonna do is I had to put some parchment paper under the bread to make sure it didn't stick to the counter. So make sure that you do that because it's very sticky. It's a hydration dough. Sprinkle a little bit of flour to give it that nice rustic look. I'm gonna do this one as well before we put them in the oven. Okay, so I'm gonna bake the ciabatta bread in a cast iron pan and I have it in the oven at 500 degrees to make sure it's super hot when we put the bread in it. One more thing I'm gonna do here so it's really, really crispy and crunchy. I'm gonna put some ice in here to make sure it gives it a little bit of humidity. So now I need to lower the temperature at 475, and we're gonna bake for 15 minutes. Hi guys, well, after a very long day of baking ciabatta bread, which is the Italian version of the French baguette, we have the final product here. And it's ready and it's amazing. We've already eaten one loaf. Can you imagine that? We couldn't wait.
And Charlie also had some. He's been enjoying it too.
So what can we eat it with?
We can eat it with some pesto, but there's almost nothing as we've eaten it all already. Butter and vinaigrette with olive oil. Yeah. And some herbs with olive oil.
Yeah. So why don't you try it at home and let us know how it turns out. We would be very happy to see how your recipe went, and if you have any comments or suggestions, give us a like. We would really appreciate that, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching.